In this video, you will learn how to produce this kind of grid as well as axis. Why is it important now? Because for O-level, students actually need not be drawing the axis anymore. So they are not given graph paper. So in our exam paper, we kind of need to have this kind of graph grid for them to draw. And of course, together we need the axis. So I will be showing how to produce a simple one without the minor axis, as well as the default one that covers the whole screen. So we will be using Microsoft Excel. Let us open Microsoft Excel. Now that your Excel is open, we would first like to just label X and Y so you will know where to key in the range of X and Y axis. Then next, we need to determine the size or the range of our graph. For X-axis, we can see that it's from -2 to 6. But normally, what I will do is to key in -1 and 5. Because if I give it a leeway of 1 unit, the Excel itself will actually give me the -2 and 6. You will see later on what I mean. Then for Y-axis, it is -1 to 5. So I put 0 and 4. So now that I have my range, I would want to select my data. Click and select this for cell. Insert. What do I want to insert? I would want to insert a chart. So click on this, find scatter. Now you have a few to choose from. Just choose the first one. That only give you a dot or 2 dots because we have 2 points. Others will give you lines, which we do not want. So select it. Chart title, we do not need it, so we can delete away. So you can see the x-axis is actually fine because -1 and 5 will give us -2 to 6. The problem is with the y-axis because by default 0 is the one that they will give, and since I have 0 down here, they will give you 0 down here instead of -1. But don't worry, we can amend that. Select the major axis. Click on Format Axis. We will be able to change the minimum point to -1. Maximum point, it actually kind of auto change to 5, which is good. So now that we have our axis settled, what I want to do is to get rid of dot. So click on the dot. Right click, you will get this option. So since I don't want to see the dot, so don't fill it with anything. Also make sure it doesn't have outline. So you will get a fairly clean graph down here. Next step is to make sure that the grid is, well, the color that we want. So click on it. Is the outline, so just select black instead of automatic. Okay, so we have the outline done. Now the axis, if you want, you can actually color them. It doesn't really matter that much if you want or not, because later on we will insert the axis and it will cover over anyway. So next thing to do is to change the coloring of the axis down here. Now, for this type of graph, our major axis, right, will need to not be solid line. So click on this. This one is major grid. We can choose the color. So the one that I like to go with will be the darkest white color. Now, it will really depend on the printer of your school. So please check if this color is suitable or not. Do check the printing. Next, I would want the line to be dotted because national exam have them dotted. So far so good. Finally, the x-axis, again, choose the darkest white color. Then choose dot. Now, if we look at the axis, you will see that the number here is not very nice. And we will have to make the amendment later on when we copy and paste this onto Microsoft Excel. So what to do now is to first delete them away. Just press the key delete and they will be gone. So like I said, the axis there is actually not very important if you go and darken it or not, because I kind of deleted it away. So once you have this grid, right, you are ready to copy and paste it onto Microsoft Word. If you want it to not have outline, you can choose no outline. If you want to have it down here at the moment, you can. Just remember to remove the outline when you copy and paste it over. So I will just leave the outline first. I think the outline is this color. Okay. So select the graph, Control C, and paste this onto Microsoft Word. In your Microsoft Word, you should have your question down here, blah, blah, blah. But of course, the font is wrong, so let me just change the font to Time Newsroom, size 12. Okay, then your graph should be underneath. Since you have Control C on Excel, you just need to Control V and you have your graph. And of course, you don't want this outline down here, so just remove it. Yeah, so you have a clean graph. Next, optional step, but it's going to be useful. Select the graph, you get this format. If you don't select the graph, you wouldn't have a format down here. So select the graph, go to format, then position, right? Now is this position. You can choose any one, it doesn't matter. So let me just demonstrate with this. So by doing this, right, I can move my graph around as opposed to just now. Right, just now I cannot move my graph around. So it will be very flexible for you to choose this option. Then you can move your graph around. All right. Okay, so now it's in the center. So next, I would want to insert my axis. So go to Insert, Shape. My axis is the line. Now, some people have problem drawing straight line. Like, you might tilt a bit, then your arrow is like this, then you have problem getting the straight line. It's like almost impossible. So how to prevent this from happening is when you are going to add in your arrow, hold on to the Shift key. Alright, hold on to Shift key. Drag the arrow until the desired length. Release. So you have a straight arrow. You might want to move it with your arrow key up and down. Okay, once you are satisfied, we would want to do some basic formatting. So go to Format Shape. Change the color to black. And arrow, make it long. So this will be the default O-level arrow. And of course, make it thicker a bit. Then we go to Insert Arrow again. Do the same thing for Y-axis. Hold on to Shift, go up. Make sure it's black. Long arrow. Now you can see the arrow is a bit short. You want to hold on to Shift key again so that your arrow will be straight. Alright. Of course, make it thicker a bit. Then we are done with the axis. So the next thing to do, right, is your axis label. So to do this, I go to Insert, Shape. I can choose the text box. You can also use this, but I would just recommend you to use the shape down here. So you can either choose this or this. They are the same thing. So let me just insert. So you will have a text box down here. I want to start with -2. So let me just make the negative. Okay. Now, of course, now it's ugly. I can make it smaller. And I want to shift it down here. Okay. Next, you will notice a issue, which is there's outline. So you would not want the outline. So we get rid of the outline. Then you might encounter or notice another problem. The problem is, right, the text box is actually super big. Like, there's a lot of empty space down here. So what to do? This one is very useful to make the text box smaller. You have your format shape down here. Go to the third option, Layout and Properties. Choose this. You can see the margin down here, top, bottom, left and right. You do not want any margin at all. So just choose to 0. Then you can see the 2 shifting place, or the -2 shifting place. So now you can see that it's not in the center already. We can reduce the size. Ta-da! Okay. Then all we have to do is to add it to all the space down here. And now that I'm almost done with my grid, I would want to tell you one last thing to be careful. I just need to add my Y and X label. So let me just copy and paste or duplicate. Then change this to X, italicize it. But if you look at the X carefully, you'll notice that something is strange. Something is missing about this X, and you are kind of right, because if I go and format the shape and change the margin, the left margin, I have a bit, and you see that, oh, I'm actually missing the tip of X. It's more obvious when it's on Y. But just take note, for your X and Y, right, because it's italicized, your left margin need to be 0.1 cm. But even if you do not have any filling, I think it's fine. Okay, like normally they don't fill the X and Y. So you can select the option not to fill them up. Like this. Alright. So again, instead of filling up with white color, you probably want to not fill them. So there we go. This will be a simple graph you can make using your Excel. So let's move on to the more difficult, or the typical O-level graph or grid.